Okay guys, August update for La Haye Sainte. Nearly finished, last two figures went on today. And there's a quick overview. Obviously La Haye Sainte in the centre, to the left the French cavalry charge. And then to the north we got the reverse slope with the squares on. Main Brussels Charleroi Road running north-south and the Sunken Road or the Haye Road running west-east. Going to take you up there now and just talk a little bit about the squares. Okay, we'll start off with this unit here. Just get in focus there. 27th of Foot or the Enniskillens Regiment. Predominantly Ulstermen with a few English officers in there. Okay, and those of you that have seen the film Waterloo will know that they feature predominantly in there. When Napoleon escaped from Elba in 1815, the 1st Battalion was recalled from Canada. It arrived back in Europe in time for Waterloo, where around 70% of its men were killed or wounded. The Duke of Wellington called the regiment that saved the centre of my line. And here we have them in their correct location. Flanking the Brussels Charleroi Road and just behind the Haye Sunken Road. 1st Battalion went to fight at the Battle of Waterloo as part of John Lambeth's 10th Brigade in the 6th Division. And at about 1800 hours that evening, when the French finally captured La Haye Sainte, the unit was still in square because it received numerous French cavalry attacks. However, the fall of La Haye Sainte allowed the French to bring up their guns. At a range of about 250 metres, they became under intense artillery fire at a range of about 270 metres. The casualties were enormous within a very short time, and at the end of the day the 1st Battalion had lost 105 killed, 373 wounded and a total of 478 casualties. However, they didn't break. I'll take you in a bit closer. There you can see them being attacked by various French cavalry units. What you've got there is a colour party in the centre with the colour sergeants. The wounded in the centre, as was normal form, and then the dead were placed outside the square. Inside the square you've got a number of gunners taking cover, and a couple of them have joined in the right corner there with their brown vests. And we also have a Prussian officer and various other staff officers. What we're going to do now is look at the unit over to the right here. And here we're going to look at the 92nd or the Gordon Highlanders. This regiment fought in the Peninsular War, originally going over in 1808, as most of these units did. For the 100 days it sailed from the Cove of Cork on the 1st of May 1815, and on the 28th it moved up to Brussels. Commanded by Colonel Cameron, who you see in the centre there on his horse. The unit was called to arms just on the eve of the famous Waterloo Ball and marched to Quatre Bras. Had a key role at Quatre Bras on the 16th of June and was one of the regiments defended the disputed crossroads, and it later halted a French attack with a full-on bayonet charge. 2 days later it was in action again at Waterloo. And it was called to the fore as a result of the initial French attack on Wellington's left flank. At that stage, there was only 250 men as a result of Quatre Bras and fighting that day. They formed into two columns and they charged with bayonet the advancing French columns, supported, as you know then, by the Union Brigade. Subsequently, the French were routed and the Eagle of the 45th was seized. I'll just take you in there so you can have a look. There's Colonel Cameron, there's Wellington in the corner, colour party. If you look top right, there's the pipes and drums, and in the rear there is Sergeant Hewitt with the captured Eagle of the 45th before he retires up the road to Brussels. Over to the left there, we have the 28th of Foot, or the Glorious Gloucesters. A little bit of history about this unit. In 1801, they fought in Alexandria, in Egypt, and were famous for beating off a French cavalry attack. Normal form at the time was to form square to repel a cavalry attack. However, the Gloucesters didn't have time, and with a simple order of rear rank about face, they fought back to back. As a result, they received the famous Sphinx insignia on the back of their headdress, which the units wore even on their berries more recently until amalgamation. Regiment had fought in the Peninsular War prior to this and at the famous Battle of Talavera. The regiment sustained on the day 252 casualties by close of battle from an original amount of 557. The 92nd I mentioned earlier didn't mention casualties. They sustained quite a small amount of casualties. I find hard to believe. Okay, they were 200 odd at the start, or when they actually went in to square, but they only had